Hello guys, so we are now in Rio, Brazil with Camila Russo, who is the founder of Defiant media platform and as well the author of The Infinite Machine, how an army of crypto hackers is building the internet on Ethereum. Nice to meet you here, Camila.
Great to meet you here, Anna.
So can you tell us about your journey into crypto? How did you switch from being a Bloomberg journalist to the crypto industry? And when did you discover crypto first?
Sure. I'm a financial journalist. I was at Bloomberg News for 8 years before going full-time into crypto. I started in an internship in New York, where after that I got hired in the emerging markets team, and then I was sent over to Argentina. And in Argentina is when I first kind of learned about Bitcoin. This was 2013. Bitcoin was in one of its bubbles at the time, and Argentines were using it to protect themselves against inflation and currency controls. So I wrote about that for Bloomberg, and since then I was always interested in this space. Because I was kind of living the same problems of regular Argentines, I was earning my own salary in pesos, so I saw how harmful inflation, currency controls are. I realized how revolutionary it was to have a currency that wasn't subject to any censorship and didn't depend on any central bank or didn't need any third parties and intermediaries. So yeah, I was interested in crypto since then. And then fast forward to 2017, I was still with Bloomberg, but in New York, and there was another kind of crypto bull run, and so I took the opportunity of starting to cover the space on a day-to-day basis, and that's how I got like really kind of into the space and just never left.
And back then in 2013 there were no stable coins yet, so did you change your salary into bitcoins already or not yet?
I wish I would have, but Bloomberg is very strict with their policies, and you can really, like trade on what you're covering, and yeah, to be honest, I don't know, like I don't have like an investment mindset. Like I'm just like a writer first, so I don't know. I was kind of buying dollars in the black market. It didn't really occur to me to just like invest a lot, like a big chunk of my savings in Bitcoin. So yeah, I regret that.
Which year did you buy your first crypto?
It was probably like 2017, I guess, but like very small amount. For the same reason, like I was covering it at Bloomberg, so I probably I bought a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of Ethereum, just to like test it out and like see what it was like. But it wasn't like a significant part of my savings at all. I think it was like after I left Bloomberg and I was writing The Infinite Machine, that I started just like buying more more Bitcoin, but a lot more Ether.
And when did you discover Ether? What was your first impression and what did you see the value of Ether?
Yeah, so in 2017, I was covering this huge bubble, and ICOs were a big part of it. So were NFTs with CryptoKitties, and Ethereum was, at the base of that, at the core of those innovations. At the same time, I was trying to find an idea that could be made into a book. Like my dream had always been to write a book, and so I was always kind of looking for like what my book could be. And so at the end of 2017, seeing kind of that huge bubble that happened, it was like completely crazy and fascinating to be there. I decided, okay, it's somewhere in crypto. I'm going to find my book idea here. Like it's just like such an interesting space. And then I realized, there's like no books on Ethereum, and it's the second biggest cryptocurrency, and it fueled so much kind of the 2017 bull run. and it's at the core of like all these innovations. So I thought it's really worth documenting, and it's worth having the story behind it. So, but you know, when I decided to write the book on Ethereum, it's not like I was an expert on Ethereum. Like, you know, I just knew kind of the basics. But I knew that it was kind of making a big enough impact that it deserved its own book.
And how did you make research at the time on Ethereum?
Lots of interviews, you know, trying to speak with everyone who was involved in the early days, looking at all the documentation I could find, you know, like the Wayback Machine, using that to look at old websites, going through old kind of Reddit posts, going through old blog posts on like the Bitcoin Talk forum, asking my sources to like send me emails and pictures from the time. So a lot of research. Like I spent like probably like the first year of it was like the first 6 months just like doing research. Then like I went and wrote like an initial kind of first draft, and then I went back and did more research. So yeah, it was, you know, I interviewed over 100 people. So
wow.
yeah, a lot. But it was really interesting, really fun.
And now we have as well a lot of other layer 1, layer 2 solutions. What are your thoughts? Is the future multi-chain or not? Are you only Ethereum bullish?
No, like I don't take a position. Myself and especially at The Defiant, we try to be neutral. Like we cover decentralized finance wherever it is. It happens that right now most of it is on Ethereum, so a lot of what we write about and cover are Ethereum projects. If it happened that DeFi and Web3 were to go to another chain, we would just cover that. So, you know, we aim to have objectivity. I don't know about the like multi-chain future. Like, if you had asked me maybe like a few months ago, I would have said that makes a lot of sense to me. It makes sense that there will be a handful of big layer ones, and they will each specialize in different kind of areas and use cases, and there will be bridges connecting everything, and in the end kind of the users would have like a seamless experience and not know which layer one they're using. I think that vision is kind of makes sense and is appealing. But then I interviewed Vitalik for my podcast. I interviewed Gavin Wood.
Yeah, I've seen actually recently that interview with Gavin Wood.
Yeah, so that was really interesting, and they both said that they don't trust like cross-chain bridges, that they think it's not a secure technology, and they don't see it ever working out. So it's like two like huge brains saying that. So now I'm doubting whether that's feasible. So I don't know if like a multi-chain future that is connected through bridges is not feasible, then that means maybe like you can only have like one or two chains. So yeah, we'll have to see which ones they are.
And can you tell how did you start your own media, Defiant?
Yeah, so I left Bloomberg News in January of 2019 to finish The Infinite Machine. And because I had been there for 8 years and I thought, you know, it was time to do something else, something different. And my initial plan was to become an independent writer, a freelance journalist writing about tech and finance and crypto. And that was the plan. And then as I was researching for The Infinite Machine and just like very immersed in the Ethereum community, I saw DeFi starting to emerge. And I was really surprised that nobody was covering it very well. Like most crypto media wasn't paying attention. Obviously mainstream media wasn't paying attention. There weren't even kind of dedicated DeFi podcasts or newsletters. So I thought, you know, like this is the most important thing happening in crypto. Like developers and founders are rebuilding a financial system, and this thing is actually working. Like, it's not like the ICO days where it was just like random tokens and a white paper. It was like working protocol. Sometimes it didn't even have a token, with users, with volume. So I thought that was super interesting, and it was something that would like grow and be here to stay. So I decided to start a DeFi focused newsletter called The Defiant, and I turned in the first draft of The Infinite Machine, and 1 week later I sent the first email on the Defiant Substack. But the idea was that it would be kind of my side project. Like, I thought, I'll be a freelance writer, and I'll have this DeFi newsletter, and maybe like I'll turn on subscriptions and have like a side income stream. But I didn't think it would like, turn into like a business. But it did. Like it kind of started to grow very quickly. It like really started to take off. I realized that people were willing to pay for the content I was putting out, which was super exciting to see. Like,
yeah.
like coming from Bloomberg, where you're behind this big name, first of all, and where you have like a bunch of editors checking your work. I was very scared to just like be by myself and just like putting my work out there. So like seeing that validation that people were wanting to pay for that content was super cool. And then after that, it was like also projects were approaching me wanting to sponsor the newsletter. So I was like, okay, like this can really be like my main job, and that was really exciting. So yeah, I decided to go all in on the Defiant, and it just like started kind of slowly, organically growing from there. Like I was doing a weekly interview for the newsletter, which turned into the podcast. Then Robin, who was at Harmony at the time, reached out about producing video content for the Defiant, which Harmony would sponsor. And that's how kind of our video, like our YouTube channel, was born. And then I started kind of taking on contributing writers, and we had so much content that I made a website to publish it. So by the end of 2020, it was like, okay, like this looks more like a media company now. Like it's not a newsletter. Like our main site is where kind of all the content was. And so yeah, that's how kind of it evolved.
And how many writers do you have currently, or is this like some freelancers contributing to Defiant?
No, so I think like, so 2019 to 2020, I think was like the first phase of the Defiant, where it was really like a newsletter turning into a media company. Then at the end of 2020, I decided to really kind of be serious about turning the Defiant into a media company, and not just that, but an information platform. So I decided that I would build a data product to complement our content. So we're building a DeFi-focused data platform. And for that, I raised a seed round, 1.4 million, to hire a group of full-time team members. So yeah, I hired 2 writers, 1 editor. I took on Robin full-time, and took on 1 video editor, 1 producer, and hired 2 developers as well to build the data product. And from there we've been growing. So right now we have 3 writers and 1 editor, plus who are full-time, plus a group of contributing writers. I don't know, I'd say maybe 10 or so contributing writers. So yeah, that's it. We're like our team is we're a 20-person team at the moment, and I'm looking to like hire maybe double the team this year, because yeah, I want to like really kind of make the next leap for the Defiant. So specifically kind of wanting to hire more developers, because we're kind of at a bottleneck for developing our data platform. So that's kind of what we're working on.
So you're trying to make like Bloomberg for crypto.
I'm so glad you said it. I keep saying that, but yeah, I'm glad you kind of got the idea. Yeah, that's exactly right. We're building the Bloomberg of DeFi and Web3.
That's cool. And you started focusing on DeFi before the appearance of governance tokens and its popularity in summer 2020. So why did you see the potential in this space?
Well, okay. So when I started the Defiant 2019, there was Uniswap, there was MakerDAO, there was Aave and Compound. And then I think after I had already started, Yearn came along and a few others. But already with like that set of projects, you could already see was something special. You know, like you had like all the like building blocks of a financial system. You had this like central bank with a decentralized stablecoin with Maker. You had the exchange with Uniswap, and these like money markets and like lending platforms with Aave and Compound. So to me, like that was a strong enough sign that this was something real.
And do you yourself make staking or yield farming?
Not really. Like I test things just you know to understand how things work. In 2020 I had this like DeFi 10 fund that I did with The Defiant, which was I invested 100 DAI in 10 different projects to see like how they did and like how each project worked. So I do things like that, but again, like I'm not kind of an investor or trader. Like I'm just like, I don't know, not built that way. It's just like time consuming. I'm very risk averse. I don't want to lose money, so it's like I just like I hold ETH. I hold a lot of kind of the airdrops that I've been given. So Uniswap, Gitcoin. What else? I think I was airdropped 1 inch. So it's like I'm like all the crypto I own is basically like I was gifted. It's really funny. Yeah, but I don't like beyond kind of like experimenting a little bit. I'm not like actively yield farming or anything like that. No.
And do you test quite a lot of new DeFi protocols?
I used to. Now I should do more. Right now though, because I've been kind of like gradually stepping away from just like my active editorial duties. Right now, you know, there's writers, there's editors who do that. I kind of oversee coverage. I make sure we're not missing any important stories and so on. I edit kind of the big stories. But because I am not the one who's like doing the writing, I'm also just like using these projects less, which is not good. It's just like it's so busy, as you know, kind of having a startup, having a media company. There's like always a million other things to do, and since I'm not like doing it for myself, like for my own investments, if I do it, it's just like really to research and to learn. So sometimes that kind of like falls in the to-do list and I don't get to it. So yeah, it's something that I haven't been doing that much, but I should.
There was a list, it seems, from DeFi Llama with the projects which potentially can make airdrops. So if you test a lot of this stuff,
nice.
You may get a lot of these airdrops.
Oh, by the way, we have a similar list as well. We have a new newsletter for The Defiant called DeFi Alpha. And we have a list of airdrops as well. We
cool.
do that with DeFi Dad helps us make that list.